Picking a brush can be a little bit difficult, especially when you just don't know what's the right brush to use. And when someone's telling you there's no right or wrong answer, you're like, okay, well, that doesn't really help me. Well, I'm going to show you what I have in my collection, and I'm going to tell you each function of the brush. That way it'll help you pick when you go to a M.A.C store. The 109 brush has a flat top. It's a little bit denser. It's designed to give you more of a flawless finish on your foundation. I like to use this with creams and liquids, but you can use this with your Studio Fix powders or any kind of thicker powders. It helps it just keep the coverage going a lot better. Next up is the 116 brush. It's a little bit thinner, but it's pretty much designed to use for powders. Now, I like to use this for my blush because it's so thin, and it's great to use it for contouring. But if you're looking for foundation purposes, I like to use liquids as well. This is great, the 116, very, very thin. Moving on, next is the 129 brush. Pretty much the same as the 116, but this is a little bit fuller. It has more of a rounder shape to it, which is also great for blush. I like to use this with my Studio Fix powders to really get into the curves and creases of your face. I like to also use this with any kind of liquid foundation as well. It just blends really, really softly. Next is the 134 brush. This brush is like the massive, gigantic thing of them all. This is definitely, I like to use this for loose powder and powders. I don't really like to use this for creams because it's very, very soft. So if you use liquids and creams and stuff, it doesn't blend them out as even as the other ones would. But once again, 134 for powders and translucent powders and loose powders, and I love this brush. It just keeps everything flow. Now, there is a brush called the 136. It looks like the 132, but a little bit thicker. I don't have that one because I don't really need it, but if you want a bigger brush than this one, go ahead. Next up is the 138. It is a brand new brush by M.A.C. I'm not sure if this one was limited or not. I'm pretty sure it's not, but don't quote me. This is great to use for powders and contouring blush just because of that little tip, the tip of it. And it's very, very soft too. So you want to make sure you just stick with the dry products. Creams and liquids won't really do that great. I mean, you can use it if you want to and it works for you and it gives you the look you want, go right ahead, but try to stick with powders on this one. The 150 brush, yet another massive version of the 132 and the 134. Or is it the 136? It's the 136, I'm sorry. The 132, and there's a 136 which fits right in the middle, but I don't need it. The 150 brush is great also for loose powder and for Studio Fix and for your mineralized powder, just powders. It's great. It's a little bit denser, just like the 134, but as you can see the difference, it's just a little bit more rounder, whereas this one has more of like a little curve to it. Coming up next is the great, I said great, kind of weird, the 168 brush. I love this brush for everything. I use it. It has synthetic hair, and it's great because when you use your liquids and creams, it won't really get too chunky inside of it. So I love this. This is great for powders. This is great for blush. This is great for even concealer. I've used concealer when all my other brushes are dirty, and I kind of like it. This gives you a smooth finish as well, and it obviously because of the contour shape, you can really get into the curves of your face, which is, this is pretty awesome. The very famous 187 brush, everything. Use it for everything. I love this one too. You get the synthetic hairs on top, the natural hairs on the bottom, so you can go from wet products to dry products, and you don't have to worry about it, which is pretty awesome. Wet to dry. Sorry, I did that backwards. To start off, you can use it with your moisturizers. Or actually, you can use pretty much all these brushes for your moisturizers as well. But I like to use this for moisturizer. Then I go into my foundation. This is awesome for liquid foundation because it just makes it look so even. It's this little stippling brush, so it really just helps it buff it out because of that flat base to it. Then afterwards, you can go into your powders because the synthetic brushes or the synthetic hairs will not stay wet as long as the natural hairs will. So you can go right into your powder and then buff it in. But when you do that, make sure that you only touch your face with the white hairs, because if you start going into the black hair and really put pressure, you're gonna use the wet products onto your face and you're gonna be like, oh, what am I doing? So this is a really, really great brush. The 188, it's a baby. It's just a baby version. So you can use the same thing. I like to use this for blush because it's a little bit smaller. And I like to use it for, if you use cream blushes at all, or liquid blush, MAC has a few out there. They come in every once in a while for limited edition stuff. This is a great brush to use for that because it really helps it even it out a lot better. Because if you were to use a regular blush brush with the creamy ones, once you put it on your face, it's gonna be this big blotch and you're gonna be like, ugh. So I really recommend using the 188 for any kind of liquid blushes or cream blushes. Finally, the 190 brush. This is a classic liquid brush. You either love it or you hate it. I love it, and it just depends on how you use this brush. It's designed for creams and liquids, full coverage foundation, you know, all the thick stuff. If you can take it and blend as you go with this brush, it really does help keep an even finish. Some people call this the streaker brush because it leaves streaky little streaks on your face. It never happens to me. It just depends on how you use it. Don't use it like a paintbrush because obviously it will. Try to blend as you go. This brush it makes you look really, really nice, and it helps make that full coverage look stay there. So that's the 190. I hope I helped you out with a little bit, especially with all my little Porky Pig stutters. So just go into the store. You can always ask a MAC artist to help you out, and you can also try the brushes too. You know, they're available to use, so you can just take a foundation, use a brush, figure it out. Hope you have fun. Good luck.